So, welcome to a Try&Fly, and today we're looking or re-looking at an aircraft that I tested about a year or so ago. It is the JAR Design A330. It's not a new aircraft. I've got this Airbus for a long time, but yeah, there had been a couple of updates, and I thought I'm going to look at those also on request. I've been asked to do something with this aircraft, and so I'm going to do a Try&Fly round today. And for those of you Germans, this is a Try&Fly, therefore I'm going to do it predominantly in English, but in between we can also talk German. Also für euch Zuschauer, die ja gerade hier reinströmen in die Live-Veranstaltung, der Try&Fly ist in Englisch, weil er ja auch für die nicht-deutsche Community ist. Vor allem der Request kam von jemandem, der kein Deutsch versteht. Aber ihr könnt natürlich gerne Fragen stellen, und ich werde dann also zwischendrin auch durchaus das eine oder andere auf Deutsch beantworten. Hallo Flugflo, hallo Delta, hallo Kirsten, hallo Di. Ja, der Nightbot ist auch da. Gut, dann sieht so aus, als ob der Stream auch gut läuft. Da bin ich aber froh. Ja, the JAR design. The JAR design, when you update it, you need to actually update two pieces of software. Number one, the airplane itself, and number two, the ground services, because the two belong together. You do actually get the ground handling from JAR design as a special edition kind of, which works automatically with the A330, because they combined the two. So you must make sure that you also update your ground handling tools here. So you need to be at the same level as the Airbus. Okay, if you don't have them installed, your aircraft will not work. It's as easy as that. Also nicht vergessen, ne? Ihr müsst auch immer den Ground Handling hier mit updaten, wenn ihr hier was macht. Okay. So from a modeling point of view, I don't think that much has changed. The A330 was always a relatively beautiful and relatively well done model. Definitely compared with the A320 of JAR design, which, by the way, has seen some improvements as well, and some new versions, and I'm going to do a similar Try&Fly revisited at some point. But we're not going to look at the outside, because Try&Fly says it all. We're trying and flying it. We're not looking at outside models. But anyway, it is a relatively beautiful aircraft, actually. And it's nice to look at it, and yep. And also JAR has put in a lot of features, such as the ground services, the doors. This thing has doors, you know, not like other aircraft that I know that where you can't even open a door. So you have to jump out the window and things like that. So from that point of view, it is really, really good. And we go into the cockpit. Here we see the cockpit of the A330. The modeling, as I said, always was superior to the probably first experiments that he did on the A320 way back. So the A330 was always a step ahead. I think they learned from the A320, and they improved their modeling skills and so on. And I think you can see this here. So this is actually a pretty beautiful cockpit, and it has evolved over the years now. Okay, so in order to get things going here, such as door opening and so on, you normally need to go into one of the two MCDUs. Thing is, if you are in a cold and dark state like we are at the moment, which is the default when you start up, you need to click on this MCDU so that you get the 2D representation. in there you will see things, and you can actually go into the MCDU menu. And here you have a choice to do all kinds of things. For example, you can go into the settings menu, and then you can turn on things such as the rain and window effects. But yeah, I had this before, and I can't remember how I fixed it. Thank God you can turn it off again. It's okay. Then there's this FPS message. This is a message that pops up if you drop below 20 frames per second. Can be a bit of an annoyance, so I prefer to turn this off. Here you can turn off if you want to use right click with your mouse. So when you are above a switch, I think that was it not? Right click. On some switches I think you can use, yeah, right click, left click, for example, for the mode switches here, in and out. If you want to stop the aircraft at the so-called top of descent, the pause thing, I don't like doing this. So next is the joystick precision. I think it's the precision with which it, not joy, but joystick probably. So I can't explain everything here. Shake camera, yeah, so we probably have a bit of head bobbing in there, and the turbulence mode. I guess we will see some movement when there is turbulence around. I'm guessing here. Okay. There is documentation that comes with the aircraft, so you can read that as well. But yeah, the settings are pretty easy. There are not too many. Hallo Martin, grüß dich. Yeah. Load and fuel. That brings up this load and trim sheet. I've shown this before. Today we're just going to very quickly check that we have enough fuel for our try and fly route. So at the moment we have 10 tons of fuel. That is probably enough, but I'm going to ramp it up to about 13 tons. And that brings us into a nice area here when it comes to the weight and balance. And this is actually really well done, this load and balance sheet. You can see that we have spread the cargo here and the passengers. We are pretty full planes, and I think I will keep it like that. And it shows you then kind of the weight distribution and things like that. The other thing you will see here is the takeoff trim. So we are now at a zero fuel waste center of gravity of 31.1, and that makes a bit over 2.3 or 2.4, 2.2. Here it is, 2.2 on the takeoff trim that we need to set later on. Hallo Stone, grüß dich. Hallo Aviation. Yeah. So very nice, actually. This is one of the really nice features that I always liked about the jar design. Ground handling. Yeah, so here what you can get is we can get the GPU, which we want to connect anyway, and I'm going to turn on the stairs, also the loaders, the fuel truck, and we're going to tell them to drive up. It's important that you have your parking brakes set when you do that. Oh, and no, we are not going to crash, I hope. But that is what it takes when the ground services start up. And is it now driving up or not? Yeah, I think they are driving up, although it doesn't look like it. Okay, now they're coming. Hallo Mosi. Grüß dich. So, wir lassen jetzt hier den ganzen Floßzirkus gerade ranfahren. By the way, you can move this thing. You just have to grab it inside here. Then the doors. I think they're going to open automatically, as you can see. I don't have to do anything. So if you use the ground services, oh, we have a Russian fuel truck. And then comes also here the loading thing. So pre-selected, we have actual 13 tons, and I could now simulate the fuel load and so on. Not bad. Pushback call. I think this is the built-in pushback functionality. We're not going to use that. We're going to use our famous better pushback. And then I have actually a custom sound option. So I got the BSS payware sounds, and you can actually control the sound here with these menus. So there's quite a bit of things happening. Der Flohzirkus ist ziemlich groß, ne? Stone Age. Und der Aviation ist heute von Zürich nach Frankfurt geflogen mit der 330. Na, sehr schön. Mit der Jan nehme ich an, oder? 490 FPM, ja, wer weiß, womit ich dann aufschlage. Das werden wir ja dann sehen. Yeah, and then there are these sounds from inside. So that's also something. I'm not sure if that is new or if that had been there before. Let me think. How was that with the door? Can we? Is there actually a? I have to try and remember now where we can unlock the door. Can't remember how you do that. But I do have a view, by the way, here in the cabin. So this is what the cabin looks like. It's actually quite nicely modeled. I've seen far worse. So it's quite a good sized cabin. You can see it's continuing here in the back. And 330 is actually I think it's is it the 300 or the 200? I think it's the 200. So the smaller version of an Airbus. Yeah, aviation is right. The BSS sound pack that I have here was worth the money. As usual, I got the BSS sound packs I usually get when there is a sale on. And that means they cost next to nothing, actually. But I think they improve on the sounds quite a bit. So let's close this again. Right, so there's no Mr. Escobar in this one, that's correct. Kein Escobar. So, good. Fuel is fine, we have 13 tons. For what we are going to do, this is more than enough. Since we are now having also the external power connected, I'm first activating the battery. And then battery number 2. And the APU battery, and I'm going to activate the external power A, and you can now hear the airplane coming to life. Next thing I do is, if I find the click spot, I'm going to do the Ardiro 1, then the Ardiro 2, which is, by the way, not the middle one. Ah! Yeah. And the Ardiro 3, which is actually the middle one. And yeah, I remember click spots weren't the easiest. Okay. All right. Then I can't remember, is that... yeah. Oh yeah. We have very classic click spots here. I'm always getting a little bit I get a little bit spoiled by the likes of Zibo with click spots and other aircraft. And when I come back to the jar, it's back to the more classic, sometimes unpredictable ways. By the way, the radios are all linked, so there is no individual FMCs and so on. This is all one of each, and they get duplicated. So if I turn off one radio, I actually turn them off all. And if I want to go to the other COM2 frequency, I can switch it here and they all switch. Okay, so this is a simplification. There's not much we can do about that. Hallo Ginger, du kaufst nix? Hallo Steffen. Oh, der Steffen muss sich durchkämpfen. Eieiei. Ja, hart, ne? $2. So billig war das am Schluss. Ah, Steffen ist krank. Ei, okay, das ist natürlich nicht gut. Gute Besserung. So. Okay. The sounds, as you can hear them, they're quite nice. Now let's go and set up the FMC. So it's easier actually to do it here. So that was the settings. We've gone through this. Now let's go into the normal init here. And let's begin with setting up our flight. We are flying from Munich to Munich. One of the tests in the Try&Fly is to see if I have a problem. I'm not going to request a flight plan. I'm going to start the aligning of the IRSs. It's test flight 1. I just updated. And our flight altitude will be flight level 200. Cruise flight level. Getting to the next page. You can click here, you get your zero fuel weight, and you can click here and you get your block fuel. And that should then, as soon as we have the flight plan, that should actually calculate also the fuel and the reserves and so on. Hallo Jürgen, grüß dich. Und der Monkey Nut ist da, heute nicht einkaufen, ne? Okay. So that's the initial fuel prediction. Then let's go to the flight plan. We're going to depart runway 08 left via the Anchor 9 Quebec. No transition. Put that into the temporary flight plan. Okay. Then, and now I need to learn how this works here. Temporary insert. Flight plan. Yeah, I remember this was always a little bit weird and wonderful. Now, you need to be out of your temporary flight plan, then you can continue. Next waypoint is Akini. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. That's the thing with jar design. This is some unexpected things happening. By the way, if you need airways, you go into the airways menu, then you enter the name of the airways. We don't have an airway in our flight. So that's why I'm directly entering the waypoint here. So let's try that again. Akini. And based on the experience, I better insert them one by one. This can be a bit slow now. Then comes Ostis. And then comes Bamta, which is the entry point for our arrival, which we can define here. We go to the destination airport, arrival. We're going to use ILS 08 left. I'm going to look for the Bamta for Alpha arrival, and the VIAS is via MIQ, Mike. And that we put into the temporary flight plan. Let's have a quick check. Anka, Kini, Ostis, Bamta, Rosa, Bingu, Tusto, Landu, Mike, And here comes everything fantastic. Insert. So that worked quite well. Flight plan is in. By the way, you can pull out the navigation display, slightly oversized. And then you can switch the mode. And here we can now see the flight plan, go walk through it. What was that? Anchor, Akini, Ostis, Bamta. This looks actually quite good. Although we're not going to reach Bamta. I remember in some older version, this got really completely messed up at this corner. This is my special test corner. And here we go. So, flight plan is in. Hallo Wolfgang, grüß dich. Moin, moin. Ja, Monkey, wir machen doch alles nur, damit meine Zuschauer dabei sein können und nicht durch Einkaufen vom Streamen abgelenkt werden. Plastik Fantastic, genau. So, next. Performance. Performance, yes. Transition altitude, 5,000, 5,000. Takeoff. We are going to use flaps. And for that, actually, we can quickly check again, I think, in the... Let's quickly go to the MCDU menu, go to the load, and have a quick check. So this, the trim is 2.2. Oh, no, it doesn't give you the flaps here. It doesn't give you the flaps, okay. So I would say, since we're quite full, I'm going to do a flaps 2. I'm going to do a flaps 2. Departure. Why can't I get out of here now? What was that? Okay. Now, we're going to do a flaps 2. And... and I have already forgotten what the... I have the attention span of a bee at the moment, so let's see again. Trim we said is 2. Pitch trim 2.2. Is this up? This takeoff trim degree 2.2. I guess it's up. (2.2) that means 2/up 2.2 was it? See? Yep. And you can see how it actually trims it up now for us. It already moves there. Good. And when you click here, you actually get your V-speeds set up for you. The flap retraction speed is 140, the slat retraction is 172, and the clean speed for takeoff is 212 knots. Runway 08 left. Thrust reduction at 1000 above, and thrust acceleration thrust at 2000 above, and the engine out acceleration would be from 2000 above ground, that is. So in the case where we are here in Munich with 1500, almost 1500 feet, that would be around 2500 indicated altitude here. Okay, that's basically it. Now let's have a quick look at the fuel prediction. So they say we have an extra time of 1 hour and 58 minutes, so we have plenty of fuel. We have far too much fuel. It has calculated a trip. Where's the trip fuel here? So taxi trip time is half an hour, and that is 2.4 tons. And that gives us an extra time of 9.2 tons or 1 hour and 32. Yep, the final reserve is with half an hour. 1 ton. I'm surprised that this is relatively low, the fuel consumption. I'm not sure if an A330 is that easy on the fuel. Who knows? Anyway, so we're done here. So we can pull this in again. So extra fuel at arrival, 9.28 tons. So you can see that here as well. So we have plenty of fuel. So we can quickly check through the various pages here. Pressure, electric DC and electric AC. In the 330 you have 2 pages. Hydraulics. Yeah, by the way, this is the accumulator here, and you can see that we have still, although slightly low, accumulated hydraulic pressure, so the brakes are actually not in the green. So if we want to have that in the green, we can give it a very quick dash with the electric pump, which I think is this one here. Is it? Yeah. So what you can see now is the needle went into the green area. And when we look at the hydraulics, so normally I would have had to check also with outside people because you need to be careful. So we have given some pressure now on the yellow system, and that has actually filled up the accumulator. So we can turn this off again. Oh, that works. Okay, very good. Alright, let's quickly set up the altitude. It's going to be flight level 200. Let's go in 1000 steps. Okay, so pressure I think is 1013 because we have standard atmosphere, and you can see there this is all duplicated here. There's no individual elements. Okay. Then I think we can go through the first checklist, which is the before start checklist. Cockpit preparations, I think they are completed. Gear pins and covers, yeah, they are not yet removed. I think we need to get rid of all that stuff. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start the APU. Genau, so. Falls ich München mit Augsburg verwechsle, ja. Okay, let's go to the menu again. Let's go to the ground handling, and I'm going to drive away all of them. That means they should now start all the animations to get rid of them. It's very calming, isn't it, that you can see the fire brigade and an ambulance just waiting in case. Ja, die Jar ist ein cooles Flugzeug. Das Hauptproblem, das ich mit der Jar hatte bisher, war, dass die Avionik, also der Autopilot und solche Sachen ja, wie soll ich das sagen, nicht immer sehr zuverlässig sind und komische Sachen machen, die man nicht erwarten würde. Das hat sich aber gebessert. Mit jeder Version werden es weniger Fehler. Es kommen manchmal welche dazu, aber im Allgemeinen verbessert sich der Flieger von Version zu Version. Also der Jar ist da dran und sein Team. Ich glaube nicht mehr, dass er alleine ist. Ah ja, okay, die Livery ist ja die Standard-Livery. Ich habe jetzt einfach mal die Jar Design Livery genommen. Die ist natürlich nicht sehr hübsch, das ist richtig. Yeah, I just explained in German that the quality of this airplane has really increased over the years. My main problem with the JAR was the autopilot, the flight management system, and so on, flight management guidance system. Yeah, I did a lot of unexpected, weird, and funny things, but it has improved version by version. These issues get less and less. So yeah, it is actually quite good. So let's get rid of that stuff. And let's continue here. Ja, es gibt zwar, glaube ich, ein Kit, aber es gibt auch sehr, sehr viele Liveries. Ich habe jetzt einfach mal nur diese Livery genommen. Ne? Ich habe noch die Greenland, Air Greenland, so schöne rote da. Und es gibt für jeden Carrier gibt es Freeware. Freeware von JAR selber und auch von einer ganzen Reihe von Entwicklern in der Community. So, also ja, ist also kein Problem. Okay, so where was I? Oh yeah. So all that stuff is gone. The APU is there. We can activate the APU bleed, and you can already hear. And these are things that have improved, really improved, because I can hear now certain things I couldn't hear before. Actually, I should be turning on. Hang on. Should be turning on the nav light, nav logo light, and we're going to turn on the beacon now. And let's quickly go through the rest of the checklist. Signs on auto. The ADIRs are on nav, and their aligned fuel quantity is 13 tons. Takeoff data is set, and the baro reference is set 1013 on both sides. And below the line, windows are closed. Beacon is on. Thrust levers idle. Yep. And the parking brake is currently set. By the way, in order to arm the speed brake, you have to find a little arrow thing, and once you are on that, then you can arm the speed brake. Okay, so that was the before start checklist, and we can now call for better pushback and get us pushed back.
Bodenanbrücke, bitte zeigen Sie mir zuerst, wo Sie hinwollen. Bodenanbrücke, der Schlepper bringt sich in Position.
Whoops. Yeah, I have a button for the reversers. Just tested it before we start the engines. Yeah, you can see the modeling is actually quite nice.
Bodenanbrücke, alle
Bodenanbrücke.
Türen sind verschlossen. Wir sind bereit, den Schlepper zu verbinden.
Na, dann mach mal. Go ahead. just lifted off the ground now, the front wheel.
Schlepper ist verbunden, der Beifahrzpin ist gesetzt. Bitte lösen Sie die Parkbremse.
Park brake off.
Wir beginnen mit dem Pushback. Die Triebwerke sind frei zum Anlassen.
Starting engine 2.
No.
Starting engine 2.
That's again a caught mouse thing. I may have a problem actually with my mouse. It's an old Acer mouse. I'm not sure, but there's a lot of sticking recently. So it says available. There was a short indication. Therefore,
Starting engine 1.
ein Ölfleck, ja. Aber nicht von uns. Der kommt nicht von uns. So, Fuel Flow. And we have 2 good starts. So now flaps 2.
Der Pushvorgang ist abgeschlossen. Bitte setzen Sie die Parkbremse.
Parking brake is set.
Brake on.
Schlepper wird getrennt. Einen kleinen Moment bitte.
Ja, das ist, es ist eine alte Kabelmaus und ich habe jetzt ein paar Artikel gelesen. Es ist die Wahrscheinlichkeit ist hoch, dass es tatsächlich meine Maus ist, die der Schalter möglicherweise produziert Doppelklicks statt einem. Und ein Doppelklick wird bei X-Plane als Catch-Event genommen und dann bleibt zum Beispiel, ne, das heißt, ich bewege und dann bleibt der hängen, weil wenn man nämlich zweimal ganz schnell hintereinander klickt, ja, das habe ich jetzt mit Absicht gemacht, dann bleibt das an der Maus hängen und es sieht so aus, als ob mein Schalter kleine Mikro-Stotterer sozusagen hat.
Einen angenehmen Flug. Tschüss.
Danke. So, I think I need to press one of these buttons up here. There is a way how you get crew supply now. Calls. I may be wrong. I never quite know what I have to do in order to get the... but anyway, let's stop the APU. Oh, I forgot. And it shows you can even start your engines without fuel pumps. That's normal. It's suction feeding. Yeah, but I should have really turned it on. I accidentally forgot. Oh, yeah, see? So I think it is probably my mouse. Yeah, nothing I can do. Okay. Right. Taxi lights. Park brake off.
Park brake off.
And off we go. I keep for...
Doors are not closed, sir.
Have we not closed the doors, sir? Okay.
Brake on.
I thought that the services close the doors. There is one door that's still open, the bulk door. Now, that should have really been closed. Okay. How do I tell the cabin that Oh no, hang on. I think I remember that. Was it not somewhere here? Was it not somewhere here?
Cabin crew, please take your seats for takeoff.
That did it. That was it. Okay. Park brake off. Off we go. And I don't think we need the ignition. We have good weather today, so we would leave the ignition on if there's bad weather. But we wouldn't need it here. So I'm using actually not my honeycomb yoke, but my Logitech side stick, because it's an Airbus. It wouldn't really feel right with a yoke. Since this is a rather large aircraft, you shouldn't really taxi too quickly, and especially when we go around the bends, you shouldn't really exceed 10 knots or 11 knots. There's some weird thing with the signs. They look a bit strange. Some problem with the... Interesting. Ja klar, Stone. Der Airbus ist einer der ersten Flugzeuge gewesen, in denen echtes Fly-by-Wire mit Computersteuerung verbaut wurde. You need to keep a little bit of power. As you can see now, it's slowed down quite quickly. Yeah, the Airbus was one of the first that got fly-by-wire with a computer interface. Because it was part of the whole philosophy for the Airbus series. Ja klar, Jürgen, es hat sich sehr verbessert. Sehr verbessert. Ja, genau. Im Prinzip ist ja das Fly-by-Wire so eine Art Auto-Trim-System. Der Unterschied ist, dass man halt in der Boeing ziehst du am Yoke, um die Nase nach oben zu heben, und dann musst du zum Beispiel über die Elevator-Trim versuchen, die Kräfte vom Stick wieder wegzunehmen. Und hier ist es so, dass der Airbus trimmt das Flugzeug in beiden Richtungen übrigens so aus, dass er halt die Fluglage, die man vorgibt, hält. Das heißt, wenn ich den Stick nach hinten ziehe, zieht er die Nase hoch, ein Stück, und sobald ich den Stick loslasse, geht die Nase nicht etwa runter, wie bei einem Steuerhorn, sondern sie bleibt dann dort. Gut, ganz so richtig toll funktioniert das beim Jar jetzt nicht. Wir werden sehen, da gibt es so Rauf- und Runtergeschwinge, bis er sich dann die Lage gemerkt hat. Aber im Großen und Ganzen funktioniert schon. Yeah, the jar has seen a lot of development. Yeah, it has become far more stable than at the beginning, and together with the sound kit, this is actually quite a nice rendition of an Airbus 330.
Park brake on.
All right, so let's quickly go through the before takeoff checklist. So flight controls. We haven't checked the flight controls yet. Actually, the automatic. Normally in an Airbus, if you click again on the same knob, it goes. The light should go out, and then it should automatically assume the correct display. So one thing would be if that's something that doesn't work as I know it in other Airbuses. So when I use the stick now, it would not go into the flight controls thing. So we have to go there ourselves. Full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral, and rudder, full left, full right, neutral. So flight controls are checked. So now I can't turn it off, you know, and bring it into the automatic. So flight instruments checked, briefing is confirmed, flap settings, it's config 2. V1, VR and V2 flex temperature, they're all set. I'm not going to repeat them now. ATC is set, ECA memo, take off, no blue, that's this thing here. Alright. I have a paper checklist from which I do this. So I switch back to engines, and now landing lights, strobes, and the taxi lights. I think, are they in the takeoff position? I think they are, yeah. So everything okay here. The APU bleed we can turn off. And I'm going to bring the transponder, oops, wrong one, into TARA. Parking brake off.
Park brake off.
Let's align. Ja, grundsätzlich, Jürgen, die Steuerflächen sind über Drahtseile und so Motoren oder Hydraulik und so weiter bewegt worden. Und die Seile waren sozusagen Steuerseile, sowas in der Art. Und das Trimmen geht ja nicht, indem man die Seile verändert, sondern der Elevator Trim zum Beispiel, der hat das sind eigene Trim-Steuerflächen in den Steuerflächen oder so. Das heißt, wenn du den Höhentrim verstellst, dann tun sich kleinere Klappen, kleinere Steuerflächen, bewegen sich dann rauf oder runter und verändern dadurch die Kräfte, die auf die eigentliche Steuerfläche wirken. Und damit nimmst du ein bisschen den Druck weg, sodass du dann bei klassischen Fliegern, dass du eben nicht die Kraft die ganze Zeit auf die Steuerfläche ausüben musst. Wie das der Airbus jetzt ganz genau macht, das kann ich dir jetzt so auch nicht sagen. Muss ich mal hier auf den Line-Up konzentrieren. Okay. All right. So ready, ready. Throttle levers forward
Power set.
into the. Yeah, I can't see. Why am I not getting it into the Mantoga? Well, then let's go. Where's that flex? Because, oh, I didn't enter a flex temperature. I forgot to enter a flex temperature. Okay, so what we see is actually correct. 100. Check.
V1. Rotate.
Rotate.
Positive climb.
Gear up.
Gear up.
And flaps
Flap
1. So I'm still flying manual, trying to follow the flight director. Oh yeah, we still have winter. I forgot. Sam is still in winter mode. And I'm now going to activate autopilot 1.
Cross check.
And flaps up.
Check. If everything is okay with the lumps. Flaps 0.
Ich hoffe, es ist nicht zu laut, ne? Hallo die. Hallo Delta. Yeah, you can see we are still on the flight control page, or for some reason we have shifted there again. I thought I was on engines. Nee, haben wir nicht, Kirsten. Sam, the thing with which you can get now animated gates and so on, also has this new seasonal mode where you can get a 7 GB texture package, and then you can decide if you want to have winter. And I forgot to actually turn winter off, because in Munich we do not have winter. But then again. So we're following the flight plan quite nicely. Transition altitude. It's still blinking, and the reason for that is most likely that it hasn't got the right transition altitude set. Where was that? Where do you set transition altitudes? Can't remember. Cruise flight level 70? Really now? Why is this 70 here? I thought I had entered 200 here, not 70. You see, this is the things with... That's the kind of things you need to watch out for in the job. I'm pretty sure I put in 200 here, and it has changed this 7,000. I could be, I don't know. So I still need to figure out where the transition altitude is set. So performance. Manage. Next phase. Well, anyway, we can already enter the landing data. Temperature is 15. 092 with 7. We're going to use 200 decision height. So that's it. Now where do I change? Where do I change the... Can't remember where you change the transition altitude. That's why this thing is blinking, because it probably still has flight level 180 or 18,000. But that's not what it is in Europe. That's weird.
Standard Barrow cross-check. Passing flight level 109.
Need to check though, if everything is okay with the lights.
Yeah, you and your lights. Or was the landing lights, probably. Ja. Sam Winter doesn't look that bad, ne? Schaut gar nicht mal so schlecht aus. Übrigens, hier gibt es eine Checkliste, aber die benutze ich nicht. There is a checklist here which kind of ticks off, but I actually hardly use it. I do it with my own. There's also a clist.txt that you can get on the forum. And there are checklists and procedures here as well, but I don't really need them for the Airbus. Pferdeschlittenfahrt, ja, gute Idee. I think the problem was that I used a hardware button for this, and potentially it's not using the right command for it. Could be the reason. By the way, I use X texture extractor to get these a bit more normal windows, especially the PFD, because the PFD does not pop out. And therefore I use the X texture extractor to get myself the two main displays. I could also do these two, but for some reason my profile doesn't seem to have them. So I'm going to edit that eventually. We can already use the auto brake, set it to low. We're going. It actually has terrain, by the way. So you can use terrain on ground. And there's also weather radar. And the weather radar, I think, is on. Is it? Up. Yeah, it's in automatic wind shear mode. Oh no, actually the weather radar isn't on. Now it's on. But since we don't have weather, there wouldn't be any radar images we could see. Naja, dann tun wir noch ein paar Pferde hier vor den A330 stecken, ne? So I think we're going to reach the top of descent very soon. It's reducing the climb speed. Why is it flattening off? We are not at flight level 200 yet. Ah, because as you can see, the top of descent, sorry, the top of climb we just reached. Now, yeah, so it's now flying. Let's see where it's flying, because older versions didn't do very good here. And okay, yeah, it's doing what it's supposed to. I'm in the meantime reducing the altitude to 150, and I use managed mode for that. So it's doing not too bad, but we haven't really reached Bumpter. So you need to be aware of that. It's one of these aircraft that will not reach the point Bumpter, because the bend, the angle of incoming and outgoing route line is too small. You can see the Alps. Yeah, it's struggling. So rose up. So that's one of these things where it might go wrong now, and if I have a feeling that it will, then I have to intervene immediately, because what's this? You see, it has changed the flight level again. So what the heck is going on? So welcome to the jar design. Why 190? Yeah. So it's still tracking rolls up, but if we are unlucky now, what it will try, and I have a feeling this is probably going to happen, it will try to get to rolls up in order to fly over it, and that might actually be not very good. Let's see what the angle is. Yeah, it looks like we're in trouble here. Oh no, actually it has selected bingo. I forgot. Green doesn't mean it's selected. White is actually selected. So it's trying to get onto the track here. Now don't forget, this is a very heavy bird, and therefore it cannot fly curves as quickly and nimbly as maybe smaller aircraft. Therefore it will take some time before it can get a turn done. So that's what we're seeing here, but it has moved on quite well. So Tusto would be the next one now. Very nice, very nice. So let's see. Now MIQ at flight level 100. Important is that at Magat we are on flight level 50 as a constraint, and we can see that it is a constraint because there is a... What are you doing? Why are you changing the flight level? Airbuses don't do that. Not sure what that's supposed to be. Alright, anyway. We are on 150, so I'm now going to put in 5000 and let it manage the descent and then see what it's going to do. ...598 Zeilen, nicht schlecht. Hallo Semi, grüß dich. Ich hoffe, ich habe nicht noch jemanden verpasst. Ja, ist der Jar-Design. Und ist keine Premiere heute, ist live, tatsächlich. Naja, wir haben noch ein bisschen bis zur Landung. Okay, so we're going to go for 08 left ILS approach, the MIQ transition. Currently we are on the BAMTA 4 Alpha arrival route, and I have it now on a managed descent for the approach. We're going to see if it would properly, yeah. Now there's a bit of a problem here. You can't really see the mode indicators here. So throttle, speed. Okay, we're in speed mode. You can't really see them from my current view. That's but I want to have this view so that I can see properly out of the window. I tried several ones, but the good thing is I have these external windows here with X-Texture Extractor. So even if I don't see it here, I can actually see it when I look up. I have a second screen. Ja, der A330 ist durchaus heavy, ne? Vor allem wenn er voll ist. Gehört er schon zu den Heavies. Ja, und das sieht gar nicht mal schlecht aus hier, ne? Also keine Patterns oder so. Und diese SAM-Texturen, die Wintertexturen, die sind eigentlich recht schön, weil die sind nicht so eintönig wie andere Lösungen, die ich hatte, bei der eigentlich immer nur blanker Schnee gezeigt wird, sondern hier sieht man tatsächlich, hier wurden tatsächlich winterrichtliche Texturen für bestimmte Standardtexturen gemacht, bei denen man zum Beispiel auch die Felder sieht oder so. Und ja, also nicht schlecht. So, we're on flight level 126 still. We've got 15 nautical miles to Mike. It will eventually have to start descending again. But I'm going to check. So, according to its calculations, now look at that. There's a real problem here with the cruise flight level. I don't know. That is, yeah, unfortunately, that's the kind of things I'm talking about. Now, Landu, there aren't any altitudes. Ah, shoot. That's bullshit. Okay, I think I'm going to go into open descent because this looks like things are going to get messed up. I'm not going to wait for it to mess up. Yeah. So although things have become better, definitely, and they improve with every release that comes out, there are still these things that shouldn't really happen. This is something no Airbus would be doing. No real Airbus. Schön weiß, ne? Ja. Unfortunately, I don't see now where the descent ends. You know, this it doesn't really show here. At least I can't see it in the navigation display. So it's very hard to judge if my climb rate is okay. So 10,000. I'm gonna turn on the landing lights. But I think we should be okay. I'm going to activate the landing system. See, the ILS is already, it can already receive the ILS. ILS 109.5, 14 nautical miles. It doesn't really show the the name of the ILS, but actually where we can probably see it is on the Navrat page. It's India Mike November Echo, course 080. Yeah, okay, so that's fine. Nein, das ist Sam. Der Sam hat ja diesen neuen... Oh, so, Color and Season, ja, ja, vom Sam halt, ne? Also, die sehen wirklich toll aus. Das ist eine ganz tolle Geschichte. Mehr Winter brauche ich gar nicht. Und der kann theoretisch auch Herbst, Frühjahr und Sommer machen. Die Unterschiede habe ich mir aber noch nicht angeguckt. Leider funktioniert es nicht mit Autoszenerien, ne? Also... Okay, so, now... we need to activate the approach phase.
Approach phase activated.
I'm doing that now. So we slowly but surely slow down.
Spoilers full.
I'm going to help a little bit. The A330 has been designed to sail, so it's hard to actually slow it down if you're too fast.
Spoilers full. Spoilers full.
Flaps 1. And now I'm going to activate the approach mode. Localizer armed, glide slope armed. So we reached the 5,000. Nicely in time for Magat. And we're now slowly but surely reducing for slat retraction speed. Delocalizer is coming in. The glide slope is moving in. Flaps 2. So as soon as it has intercepted, and it has actually caught the glide slope and the localizer, both modes are in green, as you can see here on the display. We're going to activate autopilot 2. And we are 10 miles from the airport. Ja, der Flughafen ist natürlich noch grün, klar. Da gibt es nämlich keine Wintertexturen für München. So. Gear down.
Flaps 3. Radio altimeter alive.
2,500.
Check. So we're going to do an auto land as usual, just to see how that pans out.
Flaps full.
Flaps full, and we have to arm the
Spoilers armed.
spoilers armed. Cabin crew advised, the auto throttle is pink and landing, ICA memo, landing no blue. Yeah. So, mode-wise, it says we are on speed mode, glide slope, localizer is armed, we're in cut 3, dual autopilot and dual flight director. Decision height is 200. Actually, we wouldn't need that for an auto land.
1,000.
Check. Ja, Stone, ich kann dir nicht versprechen, was der Autoland hier macht, ne? Landing inhibit means there won't be any more unnecessary announcements or warning messages in order to not distract the pilot from landing. We're just crossing the A9. That's the Autobahn.
500.
Uiuiui, ja genau. Autoland with the chart design. Let's see. Mode land confirmed.
300. 100 above. Minimum.
Continue. $100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10. Retard. Retard.
First screen.
Autopilot off.
79.
Manual braking. Reverse is off. And off the next high speed. 172 is not too bad, actually. Sorry, Stone. For those that don't join my streams, normally we have this this game where they guess my landing rate, and yeah, there can only be one winner. So I'm going to stop here,
Brake on.
and we're going to turn off the landing light
Need to
and the
check
strobes.
If everything is okay with the lights.
Yeah, you're so worried about the lights, aren't you? Yeah, don't worry. So I'm already starting the APU now. I'm not going to taxi back because let's go through the summary here. Yeah, see, the A330 is still one of the best aircraft models that JAR Design has produced so far. The A320 has become quite good too, but I still like the A330 most, and it is doing its job reasonably well. Yeah, there are still the odd strange things, especially when, let's say, flight plans aren't completely straightforward. Yeah, it can get a bit confused, as we have seen now with the flight level, for example. It shouldn't really do that, but yeah, if you know that that can happen, you should always be a little bit on your toes. Just make sure that you're ahead of the game. So with this aircraft, you cannot rely completely on it. You need to be a little bit ahead of the game, and you need to kind of realize when things are going slightly pear-shaped, so that you can interact like I did, and
Flaps 2, flaps 1, flaps
just
0.
do something about it, you know. Yeah, that hasn't really changed. Still, I think it is a good it's a good add-on. The price is quite okay too, especially when you get it on a sale, winter sale or something, because I think it's way below 40 or 50 euro when you're lucky, and I think for that price it is okay. Yeah, it's not going into the price areas that you have to pay for a flight factor. Yeah, so I think you can't go completely wrong with it, but be aware there are some some JAR designisms sometimes. Depends a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. This time a live try and fly. I thought that might be a good idea, so that people can watch live and I can talk to my followers here. But that's why I did it in English, so that everybody out there has something of this video. Okay, thank you very, very much also for the live viewers here, and I wish you a very good Sunday evening. And yeah, it's the last Sunday now before Christmas, and if we shouldn't see or hear, I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and yeah, a very good New Year, but I'm pretty sure we're going to hear before that. Okay, thank you and bye.